Welcome to the Corporate Detox podcast. I'm your host, Amanda McWhorter. I'm a corporate dropout, recovering people pleaser and perfectionist turned burnout recovery coach. If you are sick of the corporate roller coaster ride and ready to step into a life you love, this is the podcast for you. Hey there, welcome back to the Corporate Detox podcast. I'm your host, Amanda McWhorter, and today I am joined by Christine Samuel. Christine is an inner work coach, facilitator, author, and speaker who champions relational intelligence and heart-centered wisdom. With her deep understanding of the inner workings of human experience and expertise in mindfulness practices, she skillfully cultivates a safe place for deep connections and authentic communication. Through her unique blend of human-centered design, coaching methodologies, and ancient wisdom traditions, Christine guides individuals to connect with their own wisdom, gain insights, foster connections within themselves and with others, and to find clarity in times of transition. Christine, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know that there's more here in your bio, but I want to touch on that here in a little bit. First of all, I loved those words of ancient wisdom traditions coming out of my mouth because I feel like in the last month, this is like something that I'm like feeling the pull more towards on my journey. So this is like perfect timing for you to be on here. I am so excited for you to share your own corporate detox story with our listeners.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda, for having me here. So I guess, shall I start?
Yeah, go
My
right
story?
ahead.
Yeah. So I've been in my corporate career for 20 years. My background is user experience, design and strategy. So I came in the technology space and going through all the evolutions of technologies. And what I was doing there was to create a user experience when you go into a website of applications. How does it take so that the users can have a pleasant experience and intuitive experience on the websites or on the applications? So I've been doing that for a long time. And of course, there are so many different methodologies that change over times. And as I grew individually and spiritually, my interest and my curiosity is always about human experience. What does it mean to have a transformational experience? So from like designing an experience for a website, I thought, yeah, it's just a website, it's very functional. But I really curious and really interested in how does we change through our experience. So basically that is where I came from with mindfulness and coaching and things like that. Um, and in my last year before I left my corporate world, the universe kind of put me into a very difficult situations with work where I was like put um, into a business unit where I didn't have any connections. I didn't like the way they works. And I was put into a situation where I didn't have control. It's more like, you have to fit in into a puzzle piece that they want you to do. So in order to have a great performance, according to them, it has to follow their own, criterias. But I'm old enough to say, "No, you know what? I have enough of that. Fitting in is enough for me." And through that experience, I realized, you know, what does it mean to really create a space where we can show up with our inner genius? Because at work, there's a performance review, there's everything where there's like a criteria where you are measure on how you're doing with, of course, the business interests, right? But have you ever think about what you really love to do? What is your strength? Um, not according to another measurement, but according to your own. So basically, after those very difficult year, I decided, okay, you know what? This is for me to left my corporate world. I did it before, like I did it a decade ago. But this time I knew what I was going through, um, because there's a lot of fear that come from leaving that stabilities and securities. So what I did was I left with, I want to experiment with myself. And when I left, I I promised myself, I'm going to do an experiment. There's no proven process or framework, just follow the flow. There's no rigid goal, just follow what my heart's desire. There's no striving, just allowing. And I want to do something or create something from place of joy, curiosities, and flow. Um, and can I be open and tap into my inner freedom and work from my soulful desire rather than like, I have to match this goal. So what happened was I thought, what happened if I completely open to limitless possibilities and be willing to unpredict, not predict, unpredict my journey? Because in the corporate world, you have to know 3 months later what's your KPI, where you're gonna go, what's your outcome. You have to predict everything. You have to have all the steps to that to get there. But I thought, you know what? I want to be free from that. What happened when I'm freeing myself from everything that I know and just be in the space of unknowing? And here I am, 3 years later, done so much that I never done before, explore so much that I never explored before because I put myself in unknowing, in curiosities, in flow. And through that, I wrote a book. I'm going to publish it in April this year. Um, I I done so many coaching sessions. I create a communities called Deep Listening Circles, and I also partner up with someone who pretty much the same background at me to create a program called Women's Career Mastery to help women that already still in the corporations who want to move into their career to really um, own their career, because there's less women in leadership right now. So for me, it's like helping them to move up without getting burned out and being like stay true with who they are. And that's basically what I've been doing. And I'm keeping this philosophy throughout my years because it's just so much more fun to do it rather than to force yourself into a box.
Ah, amen to all of that. Okay. First of all, being able to tap into your inner genius. You're totally correct when you say that it's very hard to do that in the corporate world, right?
Yeah.
You have parameters, you have KPIs, you have expectations, you have what everybody else is doing, you have somebody else's way of doing it, and you have the four walls.
Mm-hmm.
And the four walls don't have to be physical, they can be virtual, whatever it is. If you're in there, you know what I mean. Like, it is almost like for me, when I left the corporate world, it's like I found my voice again. And it's a lot of what you're saying, right? It's like being able to step into your power, being able to be curious about things. Oh, that just resonated so much with me. And then the fact that you're trusting yourself to to basically lead an experiment in your eyes, right? On like, how do I unlearn all of this stuff that I've learned over this time and really follow a different path?
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
it's amazing.
yeah. And I'm grateful to meet you, Amanda. I think what I really love to share with the listeners is like, what is my learning of unlearning?
Yeah,
What's it about? Like when you out of, your corporate career, um, what what do you have to unlearn? So I do really want to share that because um, even it will be helpful for people who are still in the corporations and
absolutely.
making, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So why don't we start there? Why don't you take us down this path of the things that you've had to learn to unlearn on this journey of yours?
yeah. So this is what I found, right? In the corporate world, and most people, why they come back, like, they left and they come back. It's because it's really hard to deal with your own freedom. Now, this is
Mm,
very interesting. It's a paradox because when we are there, sometimes, oh, I wish I have more freedom. I wish I can do this, I can do that, I can, you know, we just thinking about having more freedom, doing our own thing. But the thing about that is, um, because we're not used to it, there's something there that make us restless when we have so many more choices. What I mean is this: what I found is really helpful, and why people going back to the corporations is because when you live in a constraint, you don't have to make a lot of choices.
hmm
That's less uh, energy in your mind, even though you may complain. So what I mean is, like, when I work in corporations, right? My schedule, people are booking my time for meetings. So every day I wake up, I already know, okay, I have 3 meetings, 4 meetings, and then I have to finish this. There's this deadline. I have to prioritize this and that, right? So when you come in, you already have that set of boundary. Then you can just play within that smaller space, which make you become more productive that way. Okay. Now, when you are out from that structure, after so much of, thriving in that structure,
hmm
have a lot of freedom is really um, frustrating or scary, because then you're like, oh, what do I need to do today? Oh, maybe I'll do this, or maybe I'll do that, but like, is that really good? Or then you start thinking, like, you start worrying about what kind of, is it right decisions? Do I
Right.
doing right? Right? And then that's become the struggle, because we don't have that structure anymore. So for me, that is the biggest challenge when you get out from a structured life into unstructured life. And when you get used to living, doing the same thing every single day. Now, the thing about work, right? We get paid more when we do better at what we're doing, the same thing over and over again, right? In our life, we every day we walk, every day we drive the car to the same directions. We work with the same people, we live with the same people, we do the same thing, even though it's like maybe different projects. So we get paid for doing so well at doing the same thing. Now imagine you are out of that, right? And suddenly you need to do different thing. And you are so good at doing the same thing, and suddenly you become, incompetent of doing a different things. Now you have to deal with your self-critics, self-talk, saying like, what, you used to be in control and now not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest part,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what I found is this. So when I used to work, because if you work in organization, you don't have any choice who you work with. Sometimes you're lucky enough, you work with great people, right? People you like to work with. And sometimes it's like people that you don't have chemistry to work with. You don't have any choice. You work on projects that you like, and sometimes you don't like, but you have to do it, right? And for me, it happened for me as well. So when I in a project where I didn't like, or leaders that I work with that I didn't like, I have this, I don't like this. Why I have to do this? Oh, why I have to go to this meeting? I don't like it. Um, and when I start doing my own thing, so every day I have stuff that I need to do, and I feel the same way. I feel frustrated. I feel a bit restless. I feel a bit angry to myself, right? It's like, why I'm not. And I realized, hey, I don't have anyone to blame anymore.
Yes. Yes.
I don't have somebody that I can blame and saying, oh, because of that person, because of this project, my life is a bit miserable. It's me that doing that to me. So I realized all the critics, all the things that I thought it's a challenging, it's make me stress, is not really out there. It's me that doing that to myself. It's me because I'm my own boss.
Mm-hmm.
So that basically made me feel like, oh my God, I don't have anybody to blame anymore.
Yeah.
So it's me, the one who, like, do I need to be mean to myself? Can I be more compassionate? Can I allow me slagging if, like, one day I'm not productive? So I unlearn that. I unlearn to set blame or become a victims of situation, because it's me that decide, it's me that choose. So what it mean is right now, um, if you're still working over there and you don't have choice of your time, or what project you work on, or who you work with, it is you who decide about your experience. For example, if I said, I don't like this, I don't like this project, or I don't like this person, who suffer from dislike? It is you that suffer from disliking your experience, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I learned, and I think this is for me the biggest lesson that I learned, that everything is my own choice. My experience is my own, the one who decide, is it good experience, bad experience? And sometimes it's just good not to make opinion about it, just to move forward,
Yes.
right?
Yes. You know what's
What?
so funny? Like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, I almost wish we could compare stories with a whole bunch of folks, right? On all the things we've had to unlearn. Because those were two, like, your two things right there that you talked about with like the space. Like, the white space on my calendar was super uncomfortable for me for a really long time because I was used to go, 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 go. I wasn't used to like downtime. I always felt like I um was a self-starter. Like people really didn't have to be watching over my shoulder to get projects done. And then you step out and you're like your own boss, and it's like a whole different world. And then secondly, I heard something after I left the corporate world, and it was um, from a mentor of mine, Tracy Litt, and she was teaching us that all judgment is self-judgment. And if you're the type of person that you're waiting for the shoe to drop, like you are the shoe, essentially, right? So those two things, like, just they totally hit home for me because even on bad weeks, bad months, when I'm sitting back and even in my personal life, judging others, when I start to go down that rabbit hole, I have to really figure out, like, what is it about me that's making me judge other people, right? Is that really like me kind of deflecting something else onto them?
Mhm.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah,
that.
I totally like what you're saying, because um for me it's everything is self-projection, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's happened to me too. Like, let's say I work with someone and now I have a freedom to choose who I work with. Um, and for example, I don't like judging others. Just say I don't like judging others, because uh, when I hear people judge others in front of me, I don't trust that person,
Yeah.
because if I judge that person and
Yeah.
back, behind their back, that she can do the same to me. Um, so I met someone work with someone who kind of judging, a lot of judgment, and I didn't like it. It it's get into my nerve. But what happened is I realized what happened? Like I realized that I'm doing the same thing as her. I'm judging her because she's judging others.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, any challenges, any obstacle that we have, any things that happening with it with us and others, anything that we see not right in in our eyes about others and about others doing stuff, it's actually data about ourselves, right? So if we like, what is it about me, not about them? Because if you kind of be more of self-aware and doing more self-reflection, because our mind is always creating story, right? If something doesn't feel good, it like emotionally disturb us.
Yeah.
What happens with our mind is we always create stories because it want to make sense of things, oh, like that person or this situation. So our eyes always look out, so our mind always look out from what going wrong out there to this person, that person, this thing, right? What's not working. But we forget that is inside, like you said, it's like it's self-judgment. What
Yeah.
is in us? What can we learn about ourselves when we stress at work? What can we learn about ourselves? Because a lot, so I'm also helping women career in their career. A lot of things that happening um in there is themselves not feeling enough, right? For example, we are perfectionists and we
Mm,
want to, especially like high driven women, right?
mm.
Really trying to do best for everything they do. um and then you get burned out. Is it because of them or something in you that contribute in that? Because sometimes uh, it could be we're looking for validation from others. It could be we try to be perfect because deep down we feel we're not enough if we don't do well, right? So those kind of things is really uh I would say working is a self journey of discovering yourself. And if we either you are in the corporation right now, still in your career, or out of it, it's all about learning about yourself,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfectionism. Mm. I'll tell you, like that, I, I say I'm a recovering perfectionist that still struggles with perfectionism in the work that I do in motherhood. I mean, it, I find myself when in my parenting like, whoa, like that does not need to be perfect before my 8-year-old turns it in, right? So it's funny how we catch ourselves. Like for me, um, my question to you about perfectionism, you're writing a book, you wrote a book that I'm sure is a journey in itself. But how has perfectionism played into that?
Or writing a book.
Yeah.
um so writing a book for me, it's about living what I wrote. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm to tell people, well, not tell people, it's more like showing to people, um in the world where everything is changing, workplace changing, the way the technology changing, right? um and in the world where we are so reliant on our headspace, which is very narrow focus, analyticals, and reductive, we need a bigger space to hold our discomfort to uncertainty, because we are a creature who love predictabilities, all of us, actually, in corporations, because you know corporations, organization, businesses make money because they're selling certainty to their
Yeah.
client. Actually, like whatever you sell, you are selling certainty. So our world wants and need certainty. So, but in the world that uncertain, we need a bigger space to hold discomfort. And for me, writing the book is more about opening my capacity to be in not knowing, to
Mm.
be like, yeah, I really want to write this, want it. And
Yeah.
then sometimes I get frustrated. Like I feel like I have so much to say, but like the word that come out from, my writing is sometimes I spend sitting down for 3 hours and only one paragraph.
Yeah.
So I have to sit down and really be gentle with my own perfectionists, with my own self-critics, knowing like, yeah, I know you. I know, yeah, it doesn't look good at this point, but just be there. Just be okay for that now, because tomorrow you can come back and fix it.
Mm.
So what happened is, I'm I deliberately put myself in a place of unknowing, because when I know a chapter, I don't really know the next paragraph. I don't know what's gonna be in the chapter. And when I write the first paragraph, I don't know what happened in the second or third paragraph. So I allowing myself not knowing, and then ideas come out. Ideas come out. And then what happened is I look back and say, see, do you see, Christine, the
Mm.
brain, analytical brain, Christine, the headspace? It's okay. It doesn't, you just relax a bit. So through that and allowing myself to see, oh, it's working anyway, then my brain start, or my survival mind start to like take it easy, because what happened is always want to protect. So by writing that book about the heart space, I also realized, oh, when I'm in fear, when I try to predict worst scenarios, it's actually my part of me that trying to protect me, like a mother trying to protect their kids
Yeah.
so not be in dangers. So because I see that as a there's a loving intention of our, when we overthinking, when we try to predict the words, when we get stressed out because we think it's gonna go worse. Oh, it's part of me that just trying to protect me out of care, but it doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So then I thought, okay, I get it. I get the intention. So what happened is with the heart space, the idea of like holding things gently, holding our perfectionist gently, holding our fear gently, because instead of like trying to get rid of them and not liking the feeling, it's like, yeah, I know your intention. Your intention is
Mm.
good. But just hold it. Just stay here with me for a while. I see you. I acknowledge you. But I also want to do this thing, the thing that you don't like.
Yeah.
Just be with me. I gotta hold your hand, right? Instead of like having the fear holding our hands, we hold the fear so that we can do other stuff that is beyond our fear.
Yes.
Basically that's my experiment. That at the end of the day, it's not like, when I'm fearful, it's not like, or when I'm stressed out, I'm thinking about I want to leave my job, or it's not like um black or white. It's not that or the other one. I just, yeah, got it. Got you have that idea, but it doesn't have to be one or another. It could be both. Because when I hold it a little bit longer and not trying to predict or not trying to make a solution of it,
Hmm.
um, a new insights or new ideas come out.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like a child when they're crying, when they say like, "Mommy, I'm afraid," I'm afraid of the dark. You don't say to the child saying like, "Oh, don't worry, think positively," or, there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
there. Or like, be calm. Like it doesn't work that way. What we do with the child is, "Oh, you're afraid, come to me. Let me give you some hug. Just sit with me for a while." Right? And for that child, just by having that acknowledgement and being able to be co-regulate with someone, that child will go to the happy self
Hmm.
without have to have a reason, argument, learning about mindfulness, or
Yeah.
it just returned to normal. And I think that's what we need with ourselves, to be able to be and acknowledge our own discomfort, not trying to
Yeah.
push it away, right? Because it's okay to be discomfort. Like, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Um, I truly think that our listeners can relate. Like, guys, if you're not, let's say you're not writing a book, you can probably relate to what Christine is saying. There's something out there that fear's creeping in, right? The perfectionist is creeping in. You're judging yourself the whole time, and you're not just allowing things to just flow freely, right? You're not taking off that filter. And so much of what we're conditioned as a society, right, is to kind of like think before we speak. And while that serves a purpose, that also can like almost be harmful in the way that when it's time to process things, right? Whether it's working through a project, writing a book, being creative, just expressing how you truly feel about something, we struggle to do that, especially as women, especially as women in corporate, because we have fought long and hard to get where we're at, and we do not want to screw that up.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And what I found that is important, and this is what I learned, and I want to share for people who are still in the other side. Um, it's the opportunity when you are on the other side, in this place where there is no structures, um, and for anyone who already moved to the other side, is to really get to know yourself, what you like, what give you energy, what are you passionate about, what you are curious about. Because sometimes we don't have time to think about what we want. We just do what we need to do, right? As a mother,
Yes.
as women in corporation, as a leaders, like, you just have to do because everyone else depend on you. So we are so used to do something because we should, because the obligation.
Mm.
And because of that, we kind of shut down what our our deep desire, because you cannot desire something else and do something different, right? So most people shut down the part of themselves, in order to fulfill obligation. I mean, it's good if you fulfill obligation and that's what you love to do, but most people shut that down so deeply, that door is so thick, they lose themselves,
Yes.
way of going up. And basically, when they go up high and high, it's getting more lonely. When you
Hmm.
get up, then you lose yourself. You feel lonely. So it's important, either you are in still or out, to really find what give you energy, what make you like a child again, um, what you like, what give you joy. And this is the thing about, after so good in your analytical thinking, problem solver, you always think, oh, doing something, let's say knitting, or
Yeah.
craft is not, like, what is the meaning of that? It's not producing anything, right? So we put condition into something that we love, saying like it has to be productive, it has to be useful, but allow yourself not to put any meaning, and just go for the sake of joy. Go
Hmm.
for what, something that very ordinary and simple, because that is what fill our soul. That's what fills you, so you can do your obligation, you can help others. Because if you're not fulfilled and you dry, it's really, really hard to serve wherever you are.
Yeah. I hear so many women that they're getting ready to make the leap and leave corporate, and you ask them what they want to do, and almost 90% of the time, that person essentially names what they were good at corporate as what they're going to do for their career, right? That's what they're going to do in their business. And I went down that road. I went down that road, and I'm still like, there's things that I'm like, I was so good at that in corporate. And, people tell me all the time, oh, we miss having somebody that was that good at something like that. And then I started to work in that again as an entrepreneur. And I was like, it just sucked the life out of me because it did not, while I was good at it, and maybe I thought that I liked it or enjoyed it at that time, now that I've really like tapped into like really what true joy is and what I really love, you find out sometimes that that's not it. That is not it. And that is okay. It's okay to reinvent yourself. You
Yeah.
said something else that like it made me think of a mentor of mine. But you were saying that as people, as you kind of like climb that ladder, so to speak, and you get promotions and that wall gets thicker and you lose a little bit more of yourself
Mm.
if you're not careful. I had a mentor that said to me, with each promotion, it gets lonelier.
Yes.
And the amount of people that you can like openly talk to and trust becomes a lot less.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I just like I never enjoyed about the corporate world, because we all want to do more, do better, right? Like make more money, get the promotion, whatever that is. Like the majority of people want that. But it's a sad fact when it gets lonelier.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? I guess from the other side, I can say it. In organization, the way to move up is there's a map, right?
Yeah.
You turn left, you do this three character. This is the to-do list that you have to fulfill so that you
Yeah.
can go to the next one. So you get used to one way of going up, right? One way of fulfillment in a way. The fulfillment is always going up the ladder, right? But we know, when you dance or when you're in a room or when you go travel, there's always many ways to different directions. It could be going up, it could be going sideways,
Yeah.
going down, if it's necessary. So it's we need to learn to know exactly what success means for each one of us. So my definition of success may be different than you,
Mm-hmm.
and also my different definition of success may be different 10 years ago and now, and maybe another 5 years later, I may have a different definition of success. So stop and slow down a bit and really do a lot of self-reflection. I mean, I know it's challenging, especially if you do have to, there's deadline and stuff. But do self-reflection and ask yourself, what is success means to
Mm.
me? Because without that, you're going to follow somebody else's roadmap of success. And when you are in that destination, you realize it's not what you want,
Yes.
then it's really hard to deal with that.
Oh, I just wrote down redefining success on a piece of paper because it's something that for me meant so much on my journey post corporate. It meant so much to me in my burnout recovery journey too. But whether you're in burnout, not in burnout, in corporate, not in corporate, like this is something that I think for every season of our life changes, right? So for me, 15 years ago, I, you know, didn't have any kids. It was a different season of life. I wanted to build the home and get the promotions and get the big bonuses, and things mattered. What I drove mattered. And then as I start getting into a different season of my life, like that success changes. Like now, like you're saying, success to me now is being able to pick up my son from school every day and take him to school every day and be present in the evenings to do homework. whatever that looks like for you, like I can guarantee you that success looks different now than it did 15 years ago. And it's okay.
Yes.
For the people that might be in your ear saying that it's not okay, that's a problem.
And I think it's sometimes it's not for the people in our own thing, like picking
True.
up.
Yes.
I mean, like, what does that means? Maybe it doesn't mean anything for you 10 years ago, but now it means something. And one thing that you said about what the meaning of success for you, picking up the kids and being with the kids,
Mm-hmm.
success is not an abstractions of, a definition of success. Somebody formulate what it is, KPI, whatever.
Yeah.
Success is so deeply related to your fulfillment of your heart, fulfillment of your life. And when you have that connection with your heart, what is success for you that related to your heart? Because
Mm,
like picking up, it seems like simple, but like there's more meaning in that. There's more
yeah.
feeling in that,
Yes.
right?
The
Moments.
feeling.
Yeah. So that's another thing. We are women, and I know the corporate world right now is very masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Masculine. You need to be masculine to move up the ladder in the masculine world, right? So we need to return back to our feminine
Mm,
side, the feeling, the sensing, because that's what build connection. It's not how smart you are, it's not how intelligent you are, it's not how experienced you are, it's not how skillful you are, it's how you connect, it's how you feel and how you can feel and experience yourself.
yeah.
That's how we connect with ourselves, that's how we connect with others. So using that feminine way of sensing, feeling, is really important in this kind of era right now, in this uncertainty, because we need all capacities that we have as human, right? Otherwise, like, if you're good in intellectually, you know how to do analysis and stuff. AI can do that. AI will grow
Mm-hmm.
faster and will probably surpass our capacity to analyze even when you are very skillful in doing something
Yeah.
in your but the things that are different than AI is our feeling, emotion, and connection. And and if you still there, um your competitive advantage is the way you lead with your heart, not just with your mind, and the way you accept yourself and loving yourself and be for yourself, like the child who are afraid, be for you when you're afraid, be for you when you like panic or
Yeah.
so that you can be that for others too.
Mm,
Because when we cannot be that for ourselves, how can we can be for our family, for our kids, for our coworkers, for our team? So this era, it's really about returning to ourselves because we are so focused on the external. It's time to be focusing on the internal because the external gonna change so much beyond our belief. And what is not changing is something inside us.
mm. So I'm going to ask you this, and I feel like I should have asked you right before you started that. What's your biggest piece of advice for our listeners?
I would say learn to accept and love yourself. Um, Welcome the part of you that you don't like, and be okay with being stressed and making mistakes. Because um, if you're okay with that, you'll see the world is still moving.
Mhm.
You make mistakes, is that doesn't mean the world gonna stop. Like in our brain, we're like, oh no, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like, you make one mistake, so what? You feel stressful, you feel like you feel disappointed with yourself for a day, so what? because the next day you will move again. So when you really notice, when we really notice that even when we are feeling discomfort, um, we know, when there's no, it's so cloudy today, maybe, like this past few weeks, cloudy, there's no sun, but the sun is always up there under the sky. So remember that it's always one day, the cloud's gonna go away, and it's like that. It will come back again and go away. So when we can see that changing, when we know we are evolving, when we don't um stick with our fixed identity, right?
Mm.
We so fixed with our identity, like I'm this. We are evolving being. So when we're evolving, so that means you accept change in you.
Yeah.
Right? When we accept change in ourselves, then it's easy to accept change in others.
Mm.
But first, of course, self-love, and be gentle. Be gentle, because we are not gentle. Be kind. Some women, we try to be kind for others, but can you be kind to yourself? I think that's the
Yes.
most important thing.
Yeah. Mm. Christine, thank you for that. Okay, so let's talk about this book a little bit more.
Okay.
So it's getting ready to release in April.
Yes.
Awesome. And so just talk to the listeners about where they could pick up the book, where they can look for it. Maybe talk a little bit more. I know you talked throughout the podcast, but I really want to hone in on that because I think that the heart space, like living with grace and ease, is exactly what we need in this. I'm gonna call it the season.
Mm,
Things are shifting, and like we've talked about, I mean, we need to be able to tap into our our feminine side and give ourselves grace, love
mm.
ourselves. And I think that your book really, truly is bringing that to the readers.
Yeah. So my book is about, I realize, because coming from corporate world, like the way I work, I realize we operate within two different. We have a dual systems, like in our mind, mental. We have dual system. One is the head space and the heart space. We use headspace so much in our work, in our life, in our societies, about being analytical, reductive thinking. Um, I think, therefore I am. So when I think A and you think B and we're different, then I say like, no, you're wrong. Because it become about my self-worth, about what I think. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
So in my book, I cover that part, that just to open up that our world is mind-made most of the time. Like the role of accountants, lawyers, whatever, CEOs are not natural. It's mind-made. Like we live in a mind-made world, and I just want people to realize that. And then the next big chapter is the heart space. How can we open up to not knowing, and allowing and surrender, um, and allowing new insight to come. So that's basically what it is. You can find, so my book will be launched in April. It will be available on Amazon. But I gave away a free download chapter from my site, christinesamuel.ca. You can go there and download a chapter. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot what else.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
So you guys can find that on Amazon. Um,
later in the April.
yes, in April. And so I'm going to drop Christine's information in the show notes. Please make sure that you go in there. Um, is the chapter available now on your website?
Yes, the chapter is available now.
Awesome. Yay,
And
you can
also,
get a sneak peek.
yeah, and also, if you are still in corporations, and you are more like mid-career, and thinking about moving up your career ladders, and you really want to own your career, also check out my website, my other site, Women's Career Mastery, womencareermasteries.com. um, yeah, that's my other mission as well, just to help
Yeah,
people still at work to really learn about owning the career and be themselves and accepting themselves, and also being able to speak up about their accomplishment, because sometimes we just think like, ah, that's what I do, it doesn't matter, but it matters.
it does matter for sure. And you know what? That's part of the corporate detox journey as well. A lot of people, I think, automatically assume that corporate detox, because my journey was leaving the corporate world, that doesn't have to be your journey. If you're listening and you're like, that's, I want to stay in the corporate world, there's nothing wrong with that. Like there are people out here like Christine, like myself, like so many others that will help you navigate that and do it in a way that feels amazing to you, that you can thrive. You can use your voice, right? Like you can use your creativity and not lose yourself in the process.
Yeah.
So, we do this work because we're ridiculously passionate about it.
Yes.
And reach out. That is why we spend the time doing podcasts. That's why we spend time, putting out content for people to find, because we know what it's like to be in the corporate world and maybe not see what else is out there, right? How we can thrive. Maybe we think this is just the way it is till retirement, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, and it's so easy to feel alone, like so
Yes.
easy you don't and have anyone to talk to. But that's why we're here. So
Yeah.
we're not alone, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for anyone out there, I'm also going to drop in the show notes a link to my new ebook. It's a digital book that'll be emailed to you, and it is called Corporate Crossroads. So if you've listened to this and you're like still on the fence, you're like, I don't know which way I want to go. I don't know if I should stay, if I should leave. This book is like, it's one that you can get in your email, you can print it out, and you can mark it up. I want you to work through it and work through all the stuff. And maybe it's something that you start now and you finish later. Maybe it's something that you just make time for, but now's the time for us. And that is part of like bringing out your feminine side, right? Like really being able to make the decisions for yourself without the blinders, and do it from a place that's like heart and soul.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you download Amanda's ebook.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I'm going to drop all those links in the notes. And Christine, thank you so much for this. I I love chatting with you. Just like so many of our other guests. And I thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for your work and your dedication and devotions for other people like us, other women. And yeah, and this podcast really helpful to bring different voices so people can learn more and know that they're not alone. Thank you,
Yeah.
Amanda.
Yeah. Thank you. So, are you ready to start your own corporate detox journey? Well, if you are, make sure that you check out amandamcwhorter.net for different ways to work with me, as well as some freebies that could help you get started. If you're on social media, follow me at Amanda K. McWhorter on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.